Enter through the narrow gate. Matthew chapter 7, verses 13 to 14. Dear beloved disciples, greetings to you all. Today, we will look into a saying of Jesus recorded in the Gospel of Matthew. Every word of Jesus is important. As we meditate on each word, I believe we will come to understand what Jesus meant to convey. However, we must not rely solely on one word or verse. As we come to understand one word after another, I believe we will eventually receive true life. The word say means to speak. Today, we are not hearing the sayings of Jesus, we are reading them. That is to say, we cannot actually hear the literal voice of Jesus. It is important to understand this. If anyone claims to have heard the voice of Jesus today, that is a lie and deception. Jesus does not specially speak to someone in this present age. So who actually heard the sayings of Jesus? It was the people who lived in Galilee and Judea 2,000 years ago. Jesus said these things, but he did not instruct anyone to write them down. He spoke to those who were physically present at the time. However, at this very moment, we are listening to his sayings through reading. Isn't that curious? Clearly, Jesus was speaking to people in a specific time and place. So before we try to understand the text of Jesus' sayings, we must first understand the context in which they were spoken. Only then should we revisit the text of Jesus' sayings. A single verse from Jesus is not something to be taken lightly. Today's passage is also one that requires deep reflection. Try to hear the voice of Jesus. We hear it with our hearts. This is what spirituality is. Enter through the narrow gate. For wide is the gate, and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. But small is the gate, and narrow the road that leads to life, and only a few find it. Matthew chapter 7, verses 13 to 14. Jesus tells us to enter through the narrow gate. What exactly is the narrow gate? In verse 14, it says that the narrow gate leads to life. It is narrow. The road is also difficult. Therefore, only a few find it. But the narrow gate is not the only gate. There is also a gate that leads to destruction. What kind of gate is that? It is described as wide. And the road is broad. So many people enter through it. Jesus spoke of two kinds of gates. So what is a gate? You've heard expressions like family gate, lineage, haven't you? For example, there's no one like you in our family line. Or the phrase, a great way has no gate. We also use the term lineage or clan. Even in spiritual cultivation, one must enter the gate. If you begin learning auto repair, you could say you've entered the gate of auto mechanics. But just entering the gate doesn't make you a master mechanic. To become one, what must you do? Nowadays, you might attend a school or training program. But in the past, you would seek out a skilled craftsman and ask to learn. Would the master teach you right away? No, you'd likely have to start by sweeping the floor. It's not easy work. Why endure the hardship? To become the best auto mechanic. Can you learn carelessly? If you do and a wheel comes off while someone's driving, it could cost a life. That's why maintenance cannot be taken lightly. Even entering the gate of auto mechanics is no simple task. Then what is the gate that Jesus spoke of? Let's look carefully at the words, the gate that leads to life. Jesus spoke of the gate that leads to life. What is life? It is the state of being alive. Jesus is speaking about the gate that leads to life. Now listen carefully. Everyone believes that the gate they are entering leads to life. No one consciously walks through a gate thinking, this leads to destruction. People are convinced that their gate leads to life. It's hard to think, perhaps the gate I'm entering leads to destruction. So we must say that everyone thinks they are entering for life. To whom was Jesus speaking? To people who believe in him, but not everyone receives life. Who? Even those who enter the gate thinking they're seeking life. Dear friends, have you even tried to seek life? Or are you simply intoxicated by the joy of having received salvation and forgiveness? Have you perhaps entered through the wide gate? Certainly, many people enter through the wide gate. The road is easy. You must seek life and enter through that gate. This is not a matter of choosing the right church. It's not about selecting the correct denomination. No church or denomination can give you life. The narrow gate is the gate that leads to life, and only a few find it. But it leads to life. The narrow gate does not give you money. It does not give you fame. It does not give you power. It does not give you health. It does not get you into a prestigious university. It does not land you a good job. So, dear friends, what is the narrow gate? It is the path of following Jesus. Following Jesus means truly understanding his words and living them out. Why is this path called narrow? Let's look at two of Jesus' sayings to understand. First saying, Luke chapter 14, verses 26 to 27. If anyone comes to me and does not hate father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, yes, even their own life, such a person cannot be my disciple. And whoever does not carry their cross and follow me cannot be my disciple. He says we must carry our own cross and follow him. One cannot claim to have entered the narrow gate if they do not carry their cross. Second saying, Matthew chapter 6, verse 33. But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. We are not to seek food, drink, or clothing first, but to seek his kingdom and righteousness. Few people seek this path. Even these two sayings show us how difficult it is to enter the narrow gate. But since it leads to life, it is right that we follow the path Jesus spoke of. No matter how lonely or difficult, if it is the narrow gate, we must enter it. Those who do are the true disciples, and at the end of that path, our Lord Jesus will be waiting for us. Please reflect deeply on Jesus' words. Enter through the narrow gate. Read them again with your heart. That is all I will share for today. May you always be at peace. Thank you.